Hello everyone, Diecap is in touch. Today I will tell you about the film The Place Beyond the Pines. Luke Glanton is a motorcycle stuntman moving from city to city with his performance. In one of the towns he meets Ramina. They are having a good time. But then it turns out that Ramina has a boyfriend. Luke says he has to leave for a year in Tournai. When he returns and comes to visit Ramina, her mother opens the door with the baby in her arms. She says this baby is Luke's. He rushes to Ramina at work to talk. Luke wants to raise his son to be with him, but Ramina is against it. She understands that a motorcycle stunt driver will not be able to provide for her child without a stable income. Despite this, Luke quits and goes to Ramina to visit his son. Then it turns out that she lives with a man whose name is Kofi Hank. They were just about to go to church to baptize their son Jason. Luke follows. In church, he realizes that he has lost the opportunity to be with his son, to raise him. Luke gets on his bike and rides into the woods to race and vent some anger. Then Robin van der Zee notices him. He gives Luke a lift to Town A on the way, offering him a job at a car repair shop. Income is not particularly large but stable. And you can live in the trailer right there. Luke agreed to Robin's proposal. But over time, he realized that he only had enough money for the bare necessities. There is no question of helping Jason with Reminium. He tells Robin about this, and he offers to rob a bank. Robin has already done this several times, so he has enough experience. Luke agrees to the heist. Robin gives him a gun. Luke repaints his bike black and goes to the bank. With the loot he steals from the police and hides in Robin's van. The circuit is perfect and works flawlessly. When Luke began to have money, he began to invite Ramina to his trailer. They began to meet. Luke saw his son more often. They even took a photo together at the diner where Ramina worked. Once, when Ramina and Kofi were not at home, Luke brought a crib and began to install it in Jason's room. Kofi and Ramina returned and a scandal began. The hatch hit Kofi with a wrench, breaking his face, and Ramina kicked him out of the house, forbidding him to appear here. Luke was sent to jail and Robin posted bail. After being released, Luke decided to rob 2 banks at once, but Robin refused. Luke would have to go on a robbery alone. Before that, he calls into Ramina and gives back the already stolen money. She did not want to take it, so the hatch threw the bundle into the car. While Luke was gone, Robin sawed his bike. So I had to buy a new one. He took the money for it from Robin by stuffing a gun into his mouth. The robbery immediately went wrong. The new motorcycle refused to start, and when the police chase began, the hatch also broke the wheel. He had to hide in a random house where a young Eureka policeman Ross entered after him. Luke called Ramina from the master bedroom and asked him not to tell Jason anything about him. At that moment there was Evilly Cross behind the door. He ordered the hatch to lie down on the floor and then rushed inside. Luke was sitting on the windowsill with a pistol in his hand. Evari fired. Luke began to fall down and fired in response, hitting Evilly in the knee. Luke died from his injuries. After this incident, Eureka Ross became a hero. Colleagues and just acquaintances congratulated him on TV. An acquaintance of his father, District Attorney Bill Kilcalin, came to the hospital to see him. He began to ask questions about what happened, and during the interrogation, Avery said that the hatch fired first. The prosecutor is investigating the incident, and it is important for him to get a complete picture of what happened. Evie's wife, Jennifer, and 1-year-old son, AJ, are waiting for Evie at home. Avery finds out that Luke also has a 1-year-old son. He becomes uncomfortable with this. In a session with a psychotherapist, he even admitted that he could not spend time with his son because of guilt. Jennifer wants him to leave work. She is afraid for her husband, because he was in the service for the first year and has already run into an armed criminal. When Avery went on the mend, colleagues came to visit him, among whom was Peter DeLuca and a good friend of Avery, Scott. They have lunch at the Crosses and then they take Avery with them. They want to surprise him. The whole company they fall into the house to Ramina. Yes, Luca is sure that the girl hid the loot with the hatch in her house, because the money was never found. Threatening that they will deport Ramina's mother, the police conduct a search. Scott finds a bundle of money in Jason's crib. He takes the money and says that he did not find anything, after which the police leave. In the car they divide the money among themselves, with Avery giving most of it, and he hides it in his garage. Avery has recovered from his injury, He was put on the award, and his father, who works as a judge, will read future politics to his son. Back at the station, Emery is transferred to the evidence department. He no longer wants to chase criminals. After some time, Cattle turned to him. He asks to take some heroin from the evidence storage, which is needed for DeLuca's fraud. Scott says that since Evely took the stolen money, he must use hatches. Avery goes to the vault, but instead of heroin, she takes Luke's backpack there and finds a picture with Ramina and Jason in it. He then takes the money from the garage and tries to give it back to Ramina. But the girl refuses. Then he goes with the money to the authorities and wants to hand over DeLuca and the others. The chief sees him out, and then tells all the DeLucies. He stops Avery on the way home and takes him into the woods. Fearing that the DeLuca will finish him off, Avery runs away. He consults with his father, and he suggests contacting the district attorney. Let him start an investigation and jail all the culprits. Avery records a conversation with Cattle, where he admits that he needs heroin from the evidence vault. With this record, he goes to the district attorney and sets several conditions, one of which, after an investigation, Avery will be made deputy district attorney. The investigation is successful. DeLuca and the rest of the conspirators are put behind bars. 15 years later, Avery Cross is running for attorney general. He divorced his wife. AJ lives with his mother but wants to move in with his father. Jennifer tells Avery about this at his father's funeral. Avery is against moving his son because he does not have time for AJ, however, he concedes. AJ transfers to the school where Jason studies. The two meet and become friends. Jason knows where to get weed and other soft drugs, and that's all AJ needs. He asks Jason to get some ecstasy. And when the two of them leave the cellar, they are arrested. Avery got AJ out of the police station that very evening. Having learned that the second detained son of Luke, Avery lost his temper. He ordered AJ not to go near Jason anymore. After leaving the police, Jason begins to ask his parents about his real father, and Kofi calls his name. On the internet, Jason learns that the Hatch was a bandit, robbed banks, and he also learns about the Robin for whom the Hatch once worked. He goes to him, and Robin tells a lot of good things about Jason's father. He shows the newspaper where there is a photo of Avery, and it says that he shot Luke. Robin says that Luke was the best biker he knew. When he showed Jason the trailer where Luke lived, he found his father's glasses inside. Robin said the kid could take them. AJ runs into Jason at school. He wants to shake him off the $500 they spent on ecstasy just before the arrest. AJ is ready to accept a debt not with money but with acid. Jason has to bring the pills to AJ's party. The boy has no money, so he steals pills from the pharmacy. At the party, AJ treats everyone to pills and Jason also takes one. In a dope, he notices a photo of Avery on the stairs in AJ's house. He understands that the man who killed his father lives here. They start a fight with AJ in which Jason's face is smashed. Mom came to pick up Jason from the hospital. However, he leaves her, goes to a familiar drug dealer, and buys a gun from him. Then Jason goes to AJ's house and knocks him out and waits for Avery. When he arrives, Jason forces Avery to drive into the woods. Then he puts him on his knees, takes his wallet, and is ready to shoot, but Avery asks for forgiveness. He sincerely apologizes for killing Jason's father. While Avery cries, Jason takes the picture of his father and mother from his wallet and leaves. Despite the incident, Avery Cross gets the job of Attorney General. He didn't look for Jason and let him go. And he left his native town. One day Ramina was checking her mail and saw a letter from her son. In the envelope was a picture taken a long time ago at the diner. Jason himself got hold of money, bought himself an old motorcycle and left to seek his happiness.